What's going on there? We had Johnny Depp show up as Ebenezer, make a splash at Comic Con. People were super excited. So, what can you say about Pirates of the Caribbean 6? Are you talking to Johnny about coming back as Captain Jack? What's going on?
We're talking to Johnny. We're working on a screenplay, and hopefully we can get this done.
For almost a decade, one question has followed the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. Will Johnny Depp ever return as Captain Jack Sparrow? For years, the answer seemed increasingly unlikely. The last time audiences saw Depp as Jack Sparrow was in 2017's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. Since then, the franchise has been stuck in development. Different scripts, different ideas, different potential directions, and countless rumors about Johnny Depp's possible return. But now, something has changed. And this time, it's not simply another internet rumor. It's coming directly from the man who has been behind the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise for years, Jerry Bruckheimer. At Disney's D23 event, Bruckheimer was asked about the future of Pirates of the Caribbean 6. His answer immediately sent shockwaves through the fanbase. He revealed that conversations with Johnny Depp are happening while the screenplay is being developed. And then he added something that Pirates fans have been waiting years to hear. They're hoping to get it done. That doesn't mean Jack Sparrow is officially back. It doesn't mean Johnny Depp has signed a contract. And it doesn't mean filming begins tomorrow. But it does mean something important. The door is open. Johnny Depp and the Pirates team are talking again. And that alone is a massive development. Because there was a time when Depp appeared to have completely closed the door on Jack Sparrow. After years of legal battles and his complicated relationship with Disney, the possibility of seeing him return seemed almost impossible. But Hollywood has a strange way of changing. Time passes. Circumstances change. And sometimes, the characters become too important to leave behind. Captain Jack Sparrow isn't just another movie character. He became one of the most recognizable characters in modern cinema. And much of that identity came directly from Johnny Depp. The voice, the walk, the unpredictable humor, the strange mannerisms, the confidence, the chaos. All of it became Jack Sparrow. So when people talk about Pirates of the Caribbean, they aren't simply talking about pirates. They're talking about Jack Sparrow. And that's why this new development matters. But there's an important twist. Because according to reporting surrounding the current project, Pirates may 6th not be another traditional Jack Sparrow-led adventure. The next chapter is reportedly being developed around a new protagonist connected to Margot Robbie, with Sparrow potentially appearing in a supporting role rather than being the central character. And suddenly, this story becomes much more interesting. Because the question isn't simply, is Johnny Depp coming back? The bigger question is, what would Jack Sparrow's return actually look like? Would he be the main character again? Would he appear for only a few scenes? Could he become the bridge between the old Pirates era and a new generation? Or could Disney be preparing something nobody expected? A Pirates of the Caribbean movie where Johnny Depp returns. But Jack Sparrow is no longer the man steering the entire ship. And that's where the story gets really interesting. Because after all these years, the most famous pirate in modern movie history, for years, the idea of Johnny Depp returning as Captain Jack Sparrow seemed almost impossible. The character had become inseparable from Depp's identity, but Depp's relationship with the franchise had become complicated. After Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales in 2017, there was no clear path forward for Jack Sparrow. The franchise continued to be discussed, but development moved through different scripts and ideas. And Depp's own career entered a very different period. That's why Jerry Bruckheimer's latest statement is so significant. This isn't an anonymous source claiming that Depp might return. It isn't a fan theory. And it isn't simply an old interview being recycled. Bruckheimer himself has now said that he and the team are talking with Johnny Depp while working on a screenplay for Pirates 6. But there's an important detail fans need to understand. Talking is not the same as signing. At this moment, there is no official announcement that Johnny Depp has signed a contract to return. There is no confirmed production date. And there is no confirmed release date. So the headline isn't, Johnny Depp is officially back. The accurate headline is, Johnny Depp is in talks to come back. And that distinction could become very important. because the screenplay itself may determine whether Depp ultimately says yes. This isn't surprising when you consider Bruckheimer's previous comments. He has repeatedly emphasized that the story has to work. The character has to be written properly, and the script has to be something everyone can believe in. Now, for the first time in a long time, it appears that the conversation has reached Johnny Depp directly, and that changes the situation. But there's another fascinating question. What would Jack Sparrow actually do in Pirates 6? Because the new movie may not simply be another traditional Jack Sparrow adventure. Current reporting indicates that the project could introduce a new central character, with Margot Robbie attached to a major role, while Jack Sparrow could potentially return in a more supporting capacity. If that's the direction the filmmakers choose, it could actually make sense. Think about the history of the franchise. Jack Sparrow began as a relatively unpredictable character surrounded by a much larger world. Over time, however, he became the center of almost everything. A new film could reverse that. Imagine Jack Sparrow returning, but no longer carrying the entire movie. Instead, he appears as a legendary pirate, a character whose reputation already exists before he enters the story. Other characters have heard the stories. They know the name. They may not even believe the stories are true. And then, Jack Sparrow walks into the room. That could be incredibly powerful, because Johnny Depp would need to spend 2 hours carrying the entire film. A few carefully written scenes could be enough to remind audiences why the character became iconic. And perhaps that's the smartest way to bring Jack Sparrow back. Not by pretending nothing has changed, but by allowing the character to evolve. Of course, none of this has been officially finalized. The screenplay is still being developed. The conversations are ongoing. And until Depp, Disney, and the filmmakers make a formal announcement, everything beyond those confirmed facts remains speculation. But one thing is no longer speculation. Jerry Bruckheimer is talking to Johnny Depp about Jack Sparrow. After years of uncertainty, that's a major change. And it raises an even bigger question. Why would Johnny Depp consider returning now? Because his answer could tell us exactly what kind of Pirates movie we might eventually see. And that is where this story gets really interesting. So, if Johnny Depp is genuinely considering a return, what could have changed? Why would an actor who once seemed ready to leave Jack Sparrow behind even consider putting on the costume again? The answer may come down to one simple thing. The character still matters. Captain Jack Sparrow isn't just another role Johnny Depp played. Jack Sparrow became one of the defining characters of his career. The character earned Depp an Academy Award nomination, became a global pop culture icon, and helped turn Pirates of the Caribbean into one of Disney's biggest movie franchises. And there's something else. Jack Sparrow is difficult to separate from Johnny Depp. The character's personality was shaped by Depp's own creative choices. The strange voice, the unpredictable movement, the physical comedy, the confidence mixed with complete chaos. It wasn't simply a character handed to Depp. He helped create the version audiences came to love. That's why replacing him has always been complicated. You can create another pirate. You can create another captain. But creating another Jack Sparrow is almost impossible. And perhaps the filmmakers finally understand that. Instead of trying to replace the character completely, they may be considering bringing the original back. But there is still another possibility. Johnny Depp may not want to return simply because fans want him back. He may want the story to be right. And that has always been one of the biggest questions surrounding a potential return. Would the new script give Jack Sparrow something meaningful to do? Would it respect the character? Would it feel like a genuine continuation rather than a nostalgic cameo? Those questions matter, because a bad return could damage the legacy of the character. But a well-written return could be something completely different. Imagine the opening of a new Pirates movie. A new generation of characters is searching for something. They hear stories about a legendary pirate. Some believe he's dead. Others believe he's disappeared. Then, a familiar voice, a familiar walk, a familiar compass. And suddenly, Jack Sparrow appears. The audience erupts. He doesn't even need a huge speech. The character's presence alone would be enough. That is the power of nostalgia when it's used correctly. But there's another reason a return could make sense. Johnny Depp's career has changed. He's no longer trying to prove that he can become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He already did that. Now he has more freedom to choose projects based on what interests him. He's working across different creative fields: film, music, art, and potentially pirates again. If he decides that the new story is worth telling, Jack Sparrow could become part of this new chapter rather than a return to the old one. And that distinction is important, because the goal shouldn't be to recreate 2003. It should be to bring Jack Sparrow into the present. The world of Pirates of the Caribbean has changed. The audience has changed. Johnny Depp has changed. And the character can change too. Maybe Jack is older. Maybe he's wiser. Maybe he's still completely irresponsible. Probably all three. But perhaps that's exactly what audiences would want. Not a perfect hero. Not a polished Disney character. Just Jack Sparrow, still somehow surviving when absolutely nobody expects him to. And that's why Bruckheimer's comments have created so much excitement. Because for the first time in years, there is a real possibility that the door isn't closed. It's open, just slightly. And somewhere behind that door, there may be a pirate waiting. Now comes the biggest question. If Johnny Depp really does return, what would Pirates of the Caribbean 6 actually be about? Right now, there are still many unanswered questions. The screenplay is being developed, conversations with Depp are happening, and the project has not yet reached the point where every major detail has been officially announced. So we have to separate what is confirmed from what fans are imagining. What we know is that Jerry Bruckheimer says conversations with Johnny Depp are happening and that a screenplay is being worked on. That's the important part. But the exact story remains under development. And that's actually exciting, because it means the filmmakers still have an opportunity to decide how Jack Sparrow fits into the future of the franchise. One possibility is that Jack returns as the main character. That would be the most familiar approach. Jack gets another ship, another treasure, another impossible escape, another enemy, and another adventure across the Caribbean. It would be the classic formula. But there's another possibility, and it may be even more interesting. Jack Sparrow could return as a supporting character. Instead of being the center of the entire story, he could become the legendary pirate who helps introduce audiences to a new generation. That would allow the franchise to move forward without completely abandoning its past. And that's particularly important because the franchise reportedly has been developing a new story involving Margot Robbie. If that direction continues, the filmmakers could potentially create a bridge between two eras: the old world of Jack Sparrow and a new world of pirates. Imagine a new protagonist trying to survive in a dangerous pirate world. They've heard stories about Jack Sparrow. Some say he's a genius. Some say he's a coward. Some say he's the greatest pirate who ever lived. And some say he's all three. Then, eventually, they meet him. And suddenly the legend becomes real. That could be a fantastic way to reintroduce the character. Because Jack Sparrow doesn't necessarily need to be the entire movie. Sometimes, less is more. If Depp appeared in only a handful of important scenes, those scenes could potentially become some of the most memorable moments in the film. Of course, that's only one possibility. Nothing about Depp's exact role has been officially confirmed, and that's something your audience should understand. There is a difference between Johnny Depp is in talks and Johnny Depp is returning as Jack Sparrow. The first has now been publicly reported. The second has not yet been confirmed. And until a formal announcement arrives, we simply don't know. But there's another reason Pirates 6 could be different. The franchise itself has changed. The original Pirates movies were built around a combination of adventure, comedy, supernatural mythology, and unforgettable characters. But after several films, the formula became increasingly difficult to continue. Characters left, stories concluded, and audiences eventually wondered where the franchise could go next. A new film gives the filmmakers an opportunity to reset. New characters, new conflicts, new mythology, but potentially one familiar face, Jack Sparrow. And that could be the perfect balance. The new characters move the story forward. Jack connects it to the past, and audiences get something they haven't seen before. without losing what made the franchise special. That's the challenge. Because nostalgia alone isn't enough. Fans don't simply want to see Johnny Depp wearing the hat again. They want Jack Sparrow. The personality, the humor, the unpredictability, the strange wisdom hidden beneath the chaos. And most importantly, the feeling that anything could happen whenever Jack is on screen. If the filmmakers can capture that, then even a limited appearance could be incredibly powerful. But if the character is brought back simply for a marketing moment, fans will notice. That's why the screenplay matters so much. Jerry Bruckheimer's statement that they're working on the screenplay is perhaps the most important part of this entire story. Because before Johnny Depp steps back onto the ship, there needs to be a reason for Jack Sparrow to be there. A good reason. A story worth telling. And if they find it, the return could become one of the biggest movie moments of the decade. But there's still one enormous question. What does Johnny Depp himself actually think about returning? Because the answer to that question could determine whether Jack Sparrow sails again, or whether this remains another unfinished chapter in the pirate story. And that is what we need to talk about next. For years, fans have asked the same question. Does Johnny Depp actually want to be Jack Sparrow again? And that question is more complicated than it might seem. Johnny Depp has previously expressed extremely strong feelings about his relationship with the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. At one point, it seemed like the chapter was completely closed, but now, something has clearly changed. Jerry Bruckheimer has publicly confirmed that conversations with Depp are happening while the screenplay for the next Pirates movie is being developed. That doesn't guarantee a return, but it tells us something important. The conversation is alive. And that means the possibility of Jack Sparrow returning is no longer just fan fantasy. There is an actual discussion happening between the filmmaker, who helped build the franchise, and the actor, who created its most recognizable character. But Depp has always made one thing clear about returning to major roles. The story matters. The script matters. The character matters. And that could be especially important here. Because Jack Sparrow isn't simply a costume Johnny Depp can put back on. The character has to make sense within the story. If Depp returns, fans will expect the performance to feel authentic. They'll want the humor, the unpredictable behavior, the strange confidence, the ridiculous plans that somehow work. But more importantly, they'll want Jack Sparrow to have a reason to be there. That's why Bruckheimer's statement about the screenplay may actually be more important than the casting news itself. They're not simply asking, can we bring Johnny Depp back? They're apparently working on a story that could make his return possible. And that's a very different approach. There is also growing speculation that Depp's role could be smaller if the new film focuses on a new generation of characters, potentially including a leading role for Margot Robbie. But this has not been officially confirmed as Depp's final role or screen time. And honestly, a smaller role might not necessarily be a bad thing. Imagine Jack Sparrow appearing as a legendary figure. Someone whose name has become part of pirate mythology. The younger characters hear stories about him. They think he's dead, or missing, or somewhere drinking rum on an island. Then suddenly, he appears. That kind of entrance could be unforgettable, because Jack Sparrow doesn't need to dominate an entire movie to make an impact. Sometimes, all it takes is one scene, one line, one look, and that unmistakable walk. But there's another possibility. What if Depp's return becomes bigger than expected? What if the new screenplay gives Jack Sparrow a meaningful role that connects the old franchise to the new one? What if the story begins with a new generation, but ultimately leads back to the pirate who started it all? Nobody knows yet. And that's important to emphasize. There is no official confirmation that Johnny Depp has signed on. There is no confirmed production date. There is no confirmed release date. And there is no finalized announcement about exactly how much Jack Sparrow would appear. What we have right now is something much more intriguing. A conversation, a screenplay, and a producer who clearly wants to make the movie happen. After years of uncertainty, that's enough to get Pirates fans excited. Because for the first time in a long time, the possibility of hearing Johnny Depp say Captain Jack Sparrow again doesn't feel completely impossible. It feels possible. And that brings us to the biggest question of all. If Johnny Depp actually says yes, could Pirates of the Caribbean 6 become the greatest comeback of Jack Sparrow's entire story? So, where does everything stand right now? The answer is exciting, but it needs to be explained carefully. Johnny Depp has not officially been confirmed to return as Captain Jack Sparrow. What has been confirmed is that Jerry Bruckheimer says conversations with Depp are happening, while the screenplay for Pirates of the Caribbean 6 is being developed. That means the possibility is real. But the deal isn't done. And that distinction matters. Because we've seen countless Pirates rumors over the years. Some claimed Depp was already returning. Others claimed he would never return. Some stories suggested completely new characters. Others predicted a reboot. And eventually, fans stopped knowing what to believe. This time, however, there's something different. Jerry Bruckheimer is talking about it publicly. That's why this update has generated so much attention. But perhaps the most interesting part isn't whether Johnny Depp returns. It's how he returns. Because Jack Sparrow has already completed several enormous adventures. He's escaped death. He's fought supernatural enemies. He's searched for legendary treasure. He's battled other pirates. And somehow, he survived almost everything thrown at him. So what would be left for him? Maybe the answer isn't another ordinary adventure. Maybe Jack Sparrow's next chapter could be about legacy. Imagine a new generation of pirates entering a world where Jack Sparrow has already become a legend. They've heard the stories. They've heard about the Black Pearl. They've heard about his impossible escapes. They've heard that he's either the smartest pirate alive or the luckiest. And they want to find him. That creates an interesting opportunity. Jack doesn't necessarily have to be the young pirate running across the ship anymore. He could be the legend everyone is searching for. And when he finally appears, the audience realizes that the legend is still very much alive. That would allow Johnny Depp to bring something new to the character without simply repeating the old formula. An older Jack, a more experienced Jack, maybe still irresponsible, still sarcastic, still unpredictable, but carrying the history of everything that came before. That could be powerful, because Johnny Depp doesn't need to recreate the first Pirates movie. He needs to show us what happened to Jack Sparrow after all those years. And if the writers can find that story, then perhaps this isn't simply a comeback. Perhaps it's an evolution. But there's another possibility we have to consider. Maybe Depp ultimately decides not to return. That's still possible. The conversations could continue and never result in a deal. The screenplay could change. Scheduling could become a problem. Creative differences could appear. Or Depp could simply decide that Jack Sparrow's story is finished. And if that happens, the franchise will have to move forward without him. That's why we shouldn't call this a confirmed comeback yet. The honest story is more interesting. Johnny Depp is being discussed for Pirates 6. The screenplay is being worked on. Jerry Bruckheimer wants to make the film. And for the first time in years, there appears to be a genuine possibility of Jack Sparrow returning. But until Johnny Depp officially signs on, the ship hasn't sailed. Not yet. And perhaps that's exactly why fans are so excited. Because for years, Jack Sparrow seemed to be gone forever. Now, the door is open, just a little. And behind that door, there may be a pirate waiting to return. For more than 20 years, Captain Jack Sparrow has been one of the most recognizable characters in modern cinema. Johnny Depp didn't simply play him. He transformed him into something unforgettable. A pirate who could be ridiculous one moment, brilliant the next, and somehow survive situations that should have been impossible. That's why the possibility of Pirates of the Caribbean 6 feels so much bigger than another sequel. It's about legacy. It's about nostalgia. And it's about one of Hollywood's most iconic characters potentially returning to the screen. But right now, we need to keep expectations realistic. Johnny Depp's return is not confirmed. What we know is that Jerry Bruckheimer says conversations with Depp are happening. A screenplay is being developed, and the producers hope to get the movie made. Everything beyond that remains unknown. And perhaps that's the best place for the story to be right now. Because if Johnny Depp does return, we want it to be worth the wait. We don't need Jack Sparrow simply because fans miss him. We need a reason for him to return. A great story, a great script, and a version of Jack that feels like the character we remember, while still giving us something new. Because the worst possible ending for Jack Sparrow would be to bring him back simply for nostalgia. But the best possible ending? To see him return when the story actually needs him. Maybe he's older. Maybe he's wiser. Maybe he's still making terrible decisions. Maybe he's still searching for treasure. Maybe he's still running away from trouble. But perhaps he's still Jack. And that's what fans really want. Not another Johnny Depp character. Jack Sparrow. The hat. The compass. The swagger. The voice. The chaos. The legend. And maybe one more adventure. For now, the answer is still unknown. Johnny Depp hasn't officially said, "I'm back." But Jerry Bruckheimer has given fans something they haven't had in a long time: hope. And sometimes, that's enough to make an entire generation of movie fans start looking toward the horizon again. Because somewhere beyond that horizon, there may be another ship, another adventure, and, perhaps, Captain Jack Sparrow. The story isn't confirmed yet, but for the first time in years, the possibility is real.